Hi, welcome back to Fabulous Autism Mommies. Today, said mommies, there's only one of me. Welcome back to Fabulous Autism Mommy. Today we're going to talk about questions you should ask your early intervention therapist. When I got into this whole thing, this life of therapy life, I didn't know what to expect or had any resources on what to ask my therapist. So I figure it would be a really good video to record for you guys. So question number one is, what will therapy look like? That just is helpful to know what you should expect. What it kind of just gives you an idea of what they're going to be doing on a daily basis, because it can be different for different therapists. Number two, what should you expect from me? I think that's a huge question. I remember asking this question to one of my therapists, and it was really nice to kind of know what their expectations were of me as a mom, as a parent, because I feel like if you don't ask, you're not going to know. It's not anywhere. It's not in any paperwork. So it's a really important question to ask. That way you know what it is that they're expecting from you. In the same respect, you should ask what you should expect from them. That way you, again, just to have an idea of what they're going to be doing and what you should be expecting from them. They seem like simple questions, but at the time when all the craziness is going on, it's just not as easy to remember to ask them. Big one, what should I be doing while you are here? I think this is a huge question, because for me it was kind of very awkward, not awkward, but just I was really unsure of what I was supposed to be doing. Should I sit here the whole time you're here? Should I not? Should I be in the other room waiting? What do I do? I think that I'm just going to suggest that if you are seeing your therapist once or twice a week, and it's only for about an hour, I would really suggest that you sit in on therapy if you can, or if somebody else is staying with your child, that they sit in therapy if possible. I mean, I know that this is not realistic for a lot of people, so do whatever you can to just be as present as you can. So if you need to ask your therapist to write a report after every session so you can read it later, that's one way to go about it. Your family member can also communicate this information if your child is with a family member. Daycare provider, same thing. Whatever it is that you need to do whatever it is that you need to do to know what they worked on while at therapy is huge, because then you know what you need to work on while the therapist is not there. 1 hour a week therapy is only helpful if you can execute and be consistent with whatever they were teaching your child. I mean, think about it. It's like you're learning. Put yourself in that situation. You go to a class 1 hour a week, and let's just say this is a really hard class. This class is really hard, and you are expected to have a test, the following week. If you don't study, you're not going to make any progress. If you don't work at it, you're not going to make any progress. You're just going to sit there, listen, and then if nothing else happens, then, you grasp whatever information you grasp. But can you just imagine how much more information you would actually, not more information, but how much better you would do if you study and you work at it the whole other time that the therapist isn't there. So hopefully that makes sense. If you're having ABA therapy and it's daily at your house, then I would suggest that you be present for the things that are important for you. So, for example, when Eli was having in-home therapy, one thing that was important for me was getting him dressed in the morning, because I was it still is a huge fight. but he's a lot more helpful now. Like, he helps me get him dressed, as opposed to like he would just like be a rag doll. Like, I couldn't get him to stand up, and that was a huge issue, because I mean, you can just imagine like trying to hold a child and get him, like, get his pants up. It was very difficult. Anyway, so I sat in with the therapy sessions that were important to me. And also there were times where the therapists were like, hey, if you have a minute, can you help me? I'm trying to do this. It takes 2 people. Or, hey, I really would like it if you sat in this therapy session because XYZ. So as far as like what you should do what you should be doing when your therapist is there, it's just a constant communication between the 2 of you, okay? How should we handle crying? Oh my gosh. This is a huge topic. Huge topic you need to talk about. What do I do when they start crying? Well, there's some points where there's a different type of cry. Like there was a time where Eli was crying, and it was a different kind of cry. It wasn't like the kind of cry like I'm trying to get out of whatever I'm doing kind of cry. It was like, okay, there's really something wrong kind of cry. So what I did at that time was like, I just walked up there and I was like, hey, this sounds different to me. This doesn't sound like a normal, like, whining kind of cry. So can we stop therapy for a little bit? Can we go have a break? Or
Expect your child to do some crying during this time. Therapy is going to help your child by giving them the skills they didn't have before. However, this will require your child to step outside their comfort zone, which is hard, so come up with a plan with the therapist if you find it hard to hear your child cry. There will be times when they cry because they don't want to do the work. There will also be times when there is something really the matter. Decide how these situations will be addressed before they happen. Be kind and be realistic.
what is your sick or absence policy? That's a big one too. Just so you know, when you should call in and let them know that you're canceling because of sickness, or how you should notify them about being on vacation, because it's really rude to just go on vacation and not let your therapist know that you're not going to be there, because they will stay for a while ringing the doorbell, making sure that nobody's home, and that's not nice. And vice versa, you don't want to be waiting for a therapist that's not going to show up. So just talk about that. Like, how are you guys going to communicate that? And what is the best way to get a hold of you? That's a really good question you should ask. If I have a question about therapy or something that happened, how do I get a hold of you? What's the best way to do that? If they're doing in-home visits, they probably won't answer their phone, and they probably won't be at their office. So email might be the best thing for them. But you ask that question so you know what they prefer. What to do if he or she runs away from the therapist, and what you should be doing. So this is another kind of like crying moment. My son ran away because he didn't want to do the work, and he'd much rather be chased around the house than do whatever it is that they were asking of him. So there was 2 of us there, and I kind of was like, I don't know what you want me to do. Do you want me to chase him? Not chase him? I didn't want to be like in the way, or doing undermining his or her authority while they're doing therapy. So have that conversation, like, what do you want me to do if he's running away from you? I don't know if that'll actually happen to everybody, but that was a big issue for me. And what I ended up doing was actually, after about 3 months of doing therapy down in the living room with me present the whole time, we moved therapy to his bedroom, where I had a baby gate, and that really helped with running away, because if he wasn't gonna comply with what they were asking, he couldn't run too far away from them. And it's a lot of work to chase after the kids, and it's really time consuming. It's time that you're wasting chasing instead of working on goals and things that you should be working on. I don't think that that's productive. I think that not only is it teaching your child that running away is a good way of getting out of things, it's just non-functional. It's not needed, basically. It's It's not a skill you want them to have. You don't want them to be running away from a situation that they can't handle. You want them to communicate what their problem is. So if something is loud, like my son Eli used to run away from loud noises. We were at a party once and they had a jump house. And he just kept running away. And this was before I knew what was going on. I didn't know he had autism at the time. So, I mean, he would literally like run down the street and I had to constantly keep chasing him. I could not let go of him. The party was like not a good place for him to be at that time because he didn't have the skill of saying, he couldn't tell me, Mom, the bounce house is too loud. I can't be here. You know, he couldn't say that to me. So his form of fixing the problem was to run away. Anyways, long story short, that's what happened. So if your child's a runner, make sure you have that conversation as well, because you don't want to both be sitting there like waiting for one of you to get up and chase him when that's like not needed. You know what I mean? I just told my therapist, like, look, if he runs away, I'm expecting you to chase him. I'm expecting you to grab him. So whether we're outside, because we, for ABA therapy, they were here on a daily basis and we would take them on park rides. So I would say, like, you're in charge of his safety. You are in charge of his safety. That's a good thing to talk about. Who's in charge of the safety? Like, what's going on? You know, if he's running towards the stove, like, if I'm over there in the other room cleaning, should I stop what I'm doing because you're not going to stop him? Just be clear about who is going to be in charge when the therapist is there. And if they don't feel comfortable doing something, then, you know, that should be something they communicate with you. Like, if he runs in your bedroom, I'm not comfortable. Let me just clarify. If I was a therapist and I didn't feel comfortable running into somebody's bedroom because the child went in there, I would make sure to communicate that to the parent. Like, look, I don't feel comfortable running inside the bedrooms to chase him. Is there any way that I can just call you if he runs into a bedroom, or if you see him running into a bedroom, can you help me? That way you're both on the same page, and that way you're not just like waiting for your therapist to run into the bedroom when in reality he doesn't really want to, or he or she doesn't want to, or whatever the case. Communication is key, like in any relationship. So communicate. And that's pretty much it. I hope this was helpful for you guys. I'm sure this is a long video, but I think these are very good questions that you should ask and should know the answers to. So if you have any questions, comments, concerns, let me know in the description box below. I'll talk to you guys later. Have a good day wherever you're at, and stay fab. Bye.